coward. You have the yearning knowledge, yet lack the courage to seek it.
Who's there?
Finish the script. Dive deeper into the shadows of your mind. Pull out your twisted ideas and place them on the page.
What?
Fool! You still procrastinate? Do you even want to make this video?
Yes, I do. I promise.
Good. Well then, shall we begin?
A couple of months ago, I found myself with a problem. I needed to find some music to focus to while revising for various exams. Usually, I would fix said problem by whacking on a soundtrack from the vast repertoire of games I've played. However, this ended up having the adverse reaction of me desperately wanting to play said game and losing all concentration. Now, I couldn't listen to regular classical music because that would be too boring. Yeah, I said it, fight me. And I couldn't listen to regular music because then I'd get distracted and start pacing the room and playing around with my little guys in my head. Then, like a messenger angel descending from the heavens, my prayers were answered. 6 playlists, fresh for the listening, fell into my lap. Theoretically, it was perfect. Artists and music adjacent to my music tastes, yet in a way vastly different, and I didn't know any of the lyrics. So I would be able to concentrate now, right? Well, this video now exists, so I bet you can probably guess what happened. Sure, it worked the first couple of times, but then the cogs started turning. I began thinking. I started caring. I began theorising. Let's start with the name now, shall we? Theistrophy, or the is trophy if saying it phonetically because you can't spell it. No, not me, someone else. Is a combination of the words theist and atrophy. I definitely know what those words mean. I define theist as the belief in a god or gods, which, checks out. Atrophy, however, is the wasting away of organic matter. The combination of these words creates an interesting idea. Is it the god who is wasting away, or its followers? Now, there are 4 different types of atrophy, but for this analysis I'd like to focus on 2 of them. The first, ischemic atrophy, is caused by prolonged physical compression. I believe this links to the idea of Entropy's followers, or those who have come into contact with him, degrading, gaining abilities, and in the extreme case of Vorthas, completely changing appearance. The second, and where I lean towards more speculative territory, is neurogenic atrophy, where damage to the nerves that attach to the muscle leads to rapid and severe wasting. Perhaps this could be a hint on how to eventually kill and/or defeat Entropy. A calculated, targeted blow to his weak spot that leads to a rapid and abrupt end to him or his plans. Alright, let's get to the meat of this video. I'm going to go through each of the characters in Theistrophy and give a brief design review, insert my useless opinion about the character in general, and then give any theories I have about their role and character art in the story and its prequels, using images, text, music, and my own experience in consuming and creating media as evidence. Without further ado, let's fucking go!
It's extraterrestrial, our love. Across the multiverse, you and I.
Yeah, I guess we should probably start with the main characters of the story, shouldn't we? I think my favourite thing about her design is her skirt. No particular reason. Jokes aside, I adore her pose and colour palette. It really helps to convey the idea of her having an upbeat and bubbly personality. The red wool earrings are a nice touch to link her to Ravel, considering she made him. My only nag being maybe it'd be nice to see more of this red throughout the design. Perhaps red thread on the patches or red laces. One thing I do wonder is whether she still has her Hornet-esque thread-wielding powers, or whether that is something that has been rescinded. Now on to my opinions about Ravel, which essentially boil down to I think he's a wee little freak and I'm highly suspicious of him. I do intensely enjoy the dichotomy between his cutesy little outfit and his goblin-like personality, with a more muddy colour shading around his face hinting to this darker side, compared to the rest of his body having hue-shifted shading. One thing I think would be nice is to perhaps make his pink shirt the same pink as Weave's patches, to suggest that perhaps it was made out of the same fabric. Trust me, she'd do that. Fabric is so expensive, oh my god. I also enjoyed the irony of the massive red heart on his chest, as my Undertale-obsessed brain immediately associates that with a soul, and he doesn't have one. Let's move on to analysing the CD/playlist cover before we even start on the music. Here, we see the pair of them sat on a grassy cliff, overlooking a view we cannot see. One thing I've always found interesting about this cover is the background seems to show massive strings, yet Weave seems to be ignorant to this. Could this suggest that she is oblivious to Entropy's manipulation of her fellow Guardians? Or is she simply looking out onto a future she hopes to bring where they are free of said strings? Ravel, however, tells a far more interesting story. He is bound like a puppet by 7 purple strings, evoking the idea of, was he ever really alive, or just always possessed? Perhaps even more interesting is the connections we can draw between the playlist covers. Now, what is the one character that Ravel is particularly interested in? Quote, Ravel loves Lylic with all its heart. Now let's take a look at Lylic's cover. Note the lack of strings? Or at least the lack of them on any part of her body, specifically around the neck, unlike other characters. This implies, at least to me, that Entropy is unable to get into her head, so is therefore perhaps using Ravel to get closer and keep tabs on her. Onto the actual contents of the playlist. My intention is to group songs together rather than talk about each song individually, otherwise we'd be here for the next few hours and I'd lose my little voice. Having said that, I can strengthen my previous argument about Ravel using the song Across the Multiverse. When I first listened to this song, I immediately assumed it was about the love between Weave and Ravel, creator and creation. It's a very sweet song, and it seemed to fit my idea of their relationship. However, I soon spat out my drink when I realised that this was a song shared on the same playlist as Entropy. Why would this be the case, as we have no evidence of them having any communications, never mind having enough to form such a positive bond? Unless this was a hint towards Ravel's true mind. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the songs I think show her character and how it changes. They are, in order, My Only Sense of Purpose, Give a Little, and finally, My Ordinary Life. I think this shows a very clear journey from people-pleaser to egoist. There is also an interesting narrative of another person or people she seems to show resentment towards in these songs. The other she seems to blame for the pressure she feels. I am unsure of who this could be, whether it's the other Guardians, the people in her town and university, or honestly, just people in general. Same girl, same. The rest of the songs, I believe, show the more general story, rather than her character arc in particular. Wonderland and Break from Eternity, especially them being early on in the playlist, seem to be in reference more to the initial premise of her and Tristan discovering the secret beneath the empty, while Forget and We're All in This Together seems to be more about them trying to keep this secret from the other Guardians, and putting up a front of, yes, everything's okay. It's also nice seeing Help Me on this playlist. As a fun fact, Oreo and that album was my first introduction to nerdcore music, so listening to it weirdly always makes me feel nostalgic, even though it's a pretty depressing song. But hey ho, there you go.
Can't the future just wait? Can't the deadlines come fashionably late? I could push every goal back, take control back, if they'd roll back the rate at which times...
Oh my goodness, I love this little guy so much you have no idea. Depending on the day you ask me, I'll give a different answer on who my favourite of these 6 characters is, but I bet you Tristan was the answer I give most frequently. Despite this, he probably has the most interesting design, staying surprisingly consistent over the 3 years I've known him. It's been amusing watching the smiley face on his shirt slowly rotate over time. This and his propeller hat conveying such an infectious sense of whimsy that I can't help smiling to myself whenever I see him. I have often wondered the meaning of him wearing such items, since it is unlike anything worn by either the Guardians or any of the characters on Larust. Now, don't worry, I'm going to keep this anecdote brief, I promise, but if you dare let me bring up poppies again, because I have more to say. The day before I was writing this, I was up in Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, and you might know that in the centre-ish of the city, there's what looks like massive cliffs and hills, but it's actually a dormant volcano. Now, do you all want to guess what I found while climbing up said volcano? Tissue paper petals buffeting in the wind, growing in the middle of the path. Yes, despite having an entire city's worth of parks and plant pots, this hardy guy thought, yeah, here's a good place to grow. But hell, at least the view was good. I don't really have as much to say about the cover for Tristan's playlist, although I do think it's interesting that he seems to not be sat outside his greenhouse, instead sat amongst some bushes and brambles that are surprisingly unkept. I wonder, could this perhaps be a metaphor for try as he might to prune the garden of his life? He cannot control it growing in unexpected tangles. Let's move on to his playlist. When I was trying to research some of the songs that didn't have a clear meaning to me, I found this comment at the top of the topic music video for Party at Club Bug. Why does this song make me think of a party that secretly has a cult running in the lower floor? And that made me giggle because I thought it was very fitting for the story. I am aware that the inclusion of Call of the Void on this playlist is probably in relation to Entropy and the secret he discovers about him, but I also thought the line, "Your father's a monster and now you're all alone," fits very well with Hearts and Flowers because what good father leaves his child son in the custody of a rather suspicious man you've barely known for an afternoon? I'm sorry, in my eyes, that may classify him as a monster. Now, as for the rest of the playlist, my interpretation of certain songs will vary wildly depending on the answer to one question. Are the songs only in reference to Theistrophy, or do they show his character in his prequel, Hearts and Flowers 2? If so, I believe the songs Going, Going, Gone, It's Kind of a Lot, Of Our Time, Beautiful Goodbyes, Smiling Swine and Partner in Crime would be in reference to his relationship with Yarrow, which nicely segues to the subject of my next discussion. Bang bang! Court is in order! What's the crime? Well, we're actually going to figure out if a crime is going to happen. Namely, is Yarrow going to die? Prosecution, let's see the evidence for. Firstly, this image. This screenshot from the Do You Think We're Friends in Every Universe video, and it also making narrative sense. If we look at the ways all the other characters get to the empty, they all have one thing in common. Being unsatisfied in some way with their lives. Weave is unfulfilled with her life at the university campus. Vaughn is searching for knowledge. Lylic is running away from a cult, and well, Zeph is already there. But if Yarrow is still alive, what reason would Tristan have to go through the portal? Why would he abandon his partner, especially to leave him in such a hostile world? Oh yeah, and never mind the song on Yarrow's playlist quite literally titled One Foot in the Grave. Now, defence! Evidence against! Honestly, I, worryingly for him, don't particularly have much, other than the quote, "My intentions with the story have changed and anything that is not currently showcased is subject to change," in response to me forcing the idea of his death, complete with an infuriating little analogue smiley. Now that sounds like a weak defence, so my verdict is guilty! But wait, Your Honour, there's more! I think I know exactly how he's going to die, and it all connects back to this fire image. Now, we know he will never directly die at the hands of Calyx, due to the deal he makes with Tristan, and he isn't one to go back on his word. Quote, "I know you want to keep Yarrow safe, and I can make that a guarantee." Though, saying this, I do realise I'm working on the assumption that taking the deal is the canon choice. Therefore, I think the addition of Dying a Fire to his playlist is a bit of situational irony. Ooh, fancy. With Yarrow starting the fire intending to burn down the factories, and perhaps Calyx along with it, but story shenanigans happen, and Yarrow ends up being the one trapped in the burning building instead. Or I could rewatch it if only there was someone to blame again and see all three of them standing there completely unharmed. Fuck!
You break a double when you break new ground. You dig dirt up when you dig deep down.
Oh my goodness, she's such a diva. I love her so much. Look at her. I am infatuated with her design. You really can't go wrong with a character with a cool weapon, mysterious mask, cute dress, red colour palette, and... oh no. Oh no. No, not again, not again. No, I don't want to go back. No! But I do enjoy the irony of purple being the most common colour in Theistrophy, yet the only character named after a shade of purple is red instead. The only complaint I have is, actually, it's a flail she wields, not a mace. It's actually so shocking. Imagine not being able to differentiate medieval weapons. That's, like, so despicable. You should know this. Another thing I do kind of miss is the longer hair, although I do understand why it was scrapped, probably being a bit of a pain to draw. However, I did find this image the other day and thought, oh my god, that's exactly her. I like her tape player too. I can definitely relate to retreating to some dark corner and whacking on a good playlist. But I do wonder if she can still create creatures using this music, as I thought that was a really cool idea. Now, onto her playlist cover. So, as previously mentioned, the strings are attached to her mask and not herself. But another intriguing thing is the format of the cover is unlike all of the other characters, having a more unrealistic half-tone background that fits the retro vibe of her tape player. As for why I think said strings are unable to get to her, I am unsure, although perhaps it could be to do with the assassin cult she escaped from. We are not told who the entities that are worshipped at this cult are, so perhaps it could be Entropy himself, or a god with similar powers. I think that maybe it was through contact and experience with said god that she can either consciously or subconsciously evade his influence. To the contents of the playlist. There are two clear themes in her playlist. Songs that connect to her role as the more hot-headed, confrontational, assassin side of her character, and the other, more curious, to me, side, which is a lot more wistful and melancholic, conveying a strong sense of saudade for a time and person that is now gone. Yeah, you're not the only one who can make me learn new words. Perhaps this would be the sort of songs she listens to as she lays by the swamps, reminiscing about days past. Maybe the person she's thinking about is her friend, Cecilia, whose name derives from a Latin word meaning blind, which is fitting considering the name of her prequel, The Blind Eye. There was a brief moment before learning about this prequel when I thought all these songs might have been about a potential close relationship with Weave, which would have been interesting, but I think they now fit Cecilia more, since said songs are not shared on Weave's playlist. One song I want to focus on is Control Baby, as it isn't currently clear to me who is singing it, and who it is directed to. Yeah, so I find it very interesting. Like I said, like who is singing it and who is it singing to? I think the option that'd be most plausible is it's a parental figure singing it about Lylic, like, oh, she's a disappointment, you know. Or that it's the cult singing about Lylic, like, oh, why didn't you just worship these god and kill these people? Why did you have to be so deviant? But another interesting thing, which I don't think is the interpretation I'm meant to have, but it could be interesting, is like, what if it's Lylic singing it about someone else, about like a childlike figure? And I don't necessarily think she had a child, but like what if she's singing it about Cecilia because her name means blind? Like, could it be that there's a twist that like secretly Cecilia was the leader of the cult the whole time, or something like that, and it's like about the disappointment she has in that? But I don't think that'd be the case. Another interesting theme, there's like several references to vampires in a playlist. Obviously vampire reference in a minor key, and Rivers is a vampire, which I thought was like interesting. Like, not necessarily that she is a vampire, but I guess vampires are always associated with living too. Oh yeah, that was it, because you got all the melancholic songs, they evoke this idea of her living longer than someone else, and I was thinking, like, oh my god, could that be her? Could she be the only survivor of this story? And all these songs are about her missing the Guardians and missing the world that was once there. I was like, you know, that could be like an interesting thing, because vampires live a long time, and the common theme in stories about vampires is that, oh, I've fallen in love with this woman, but I know she's gonna die, so I'm gonna bite her so she can live with me forever. You know, that sort of thing. So I was like, oh, could that be the thing? I found it interesting that, because I was like, why is the song with 5 names on this playlist? Because it's about, you know, searching for knowledge, searching for something that you shouldn't really be searching for. You know, you can break a shovel when you dig deep down, you know, all that. So I was like, oh, that sounds more like a song that should be on Tristan or Weave's playlist, because, you know, they're the one who's discovered this secret and is like searching. So I was like thinking, oh, could this be not about Lylic, but Lylic's opinion of Tristan and Weave's meddling? Like, could it be like she would be theoretically singing this song to them. Being like, I've done this before, I've looked too deep into this cult and look at where it's got me, you know, my friend dead, everything, my life upturned, so, like, don't do this, it doesn't end well, like, could that be the thing?
Yes. Yes. Excellent. You're coming ever closer to the truth.
Anything for knowledge. Anything for you.
Exactly. And soon, we will both have everything we want.
What's happening to me?
Just be careful what you wish for the truth always comes with consequences.
I find Zeph's design really funny because I swear I have a pair of cargo trousers in that colour. It literally looks like something I'd wear, it's mildly terrifying. Speaking of that, I find it really interesting considering that he's an isolith, that his clothing is completely different from the other isoliths that we know, except from maybe Tulia, but her jumper's a little longer. The character that he looks most similar to is Weave, you know, with the short sleeve jumper and the undershirt. I found that really interesting because, like, it feels like he's sort of rejecting his origins as an isolith and trying to appear with the fashion of humans instead, which I think is interesting because, like, does he hold a sort of resentment towards the isoliths? Does he blame them for the situation that's happening now? Like, does he think that they should have taken a different direction when imprisoning Entropy? Or does he blame them that he's the only one? Like, is there a sadness in that? And he, like, wants to pretend that, like, he's just human so he doesn't have to carry that sort of guilt. Like, does he feel guilt for their death? Like, because they all sacrificed themselves and he was created from that sacrifice. Does he have that sort of... Does he have survivor's guilt of, oh, because I was born from that sacrifice, they essentially sacrificed themselves for me, so, you know, I feel this guilt. But, like, if you felt that guilt, wouldn't you feel the need to honour that civilization instead? Another really interesting thing I find about the colour that is used, because what's really interesting is if you go to the poster I made, like, I noticed this when just sort of messing around. A cool thing you can do to check how good your colour palette is you know, if you copy and paste your canvas, so all the layers that you want, all the layers in your picture are there, and then duplicate that, and then invert that top layer, and then put the blending mode to colour, so that inverts the colours but puts everything at the same shade. And I'll show a picture on screen now of what happens when you do that, because it makes how different Zeph is from everyone else, like, really obvious, like, much more obvious than just sort of the normal one, because you don't really notice it as much. But if I put it on there, you immediately see everyone has these greens and these blues, and then he stands out in the pink. And so if we go back to the original poster, you can see that everyone else's colour palettes sort of teeter from sort of yellow to purple, sort of the more warm side of the colour wheel, while Zeph stands out being the only cool toned character that he has. I don't know what you have against the colour blue. You've got no blue characters, that's tragic. Other than Calyx, but that's not Theistrophy, that's Hearts and Thorns, so that doesn't count. And even then he's not that blue. It's like the most wishy-washy blue. Shocking, have some blue characters. What's the love for my blue? I don't care that much, I'm joking. And this was something that, yes, because he's green, and then because you have Vaughn as being purple. Fun little fact: if you go and colour pick from Info Hazard, this more vibrant purple I've used as sort of the accent colour. If you invert that, then you get the exact same colour as Zeph's jumper. So that really emphasises sorry for using the word, the dichotomy ooh references. That emphasises the dichotomy between the two and how they are foils of each other and like sort of opposite characters. Please don't hate me when I say this. I did, when I first saw this cover, think he was sat on one of them old-timey bins. I realised that it's meant to be a pillar, but it does look like he's sat on a bin. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I have to get it off my chest. I'm really sorry. But yes, apart from that, you've got the circly thing above his head, which is obviously meant to evoke the idea of the void core beneath him, but also kind of looks like a halo, so I find that interesting, because that probably links to, like, the allied angels and that. And then he's not wearing his jumper, he's just wearing his scarf. He's wearing the same coat as Aeolus. Yeah, and that's interesting, because there's only a couple of characters that, like you said, the past doesn't repeat itself, but it has reflections, or something along the lines of that. Put the quote. Editor, put the quote. And so, yeah, it's interesting how only some of the characters have stronger similarities. Like, you have them two wearing the... I don't know if it's the exact same robe, but it's the same style of robe. And then, obviously, you have Tristan and Sariel both having the crook. It's the rest of them that it sort of seems to differ. Like, you have Puriel with their scythe, while Lylic has mace, or flail. You should be calling it a flail. You have the biggest difference of Weave sort of being more textiles, that's it. She's more textiles in how she expresses her creativeness, while Tulia is, well, she's an architect, so it's more sort of industrial. What else was I going to say? Oh, yes, because Aeolus, yes, it's not telling me the direction. That's important because Zephyrus, that's the Greek god of the west wind, and it's not telling me, it isn't implying that Aeolus has a direction, so that implies the whole wind rather than a specific direction. Interesting because it's said that this god of the west wind is sort of like a more breezy, easy sort of thing rather than being a more aggressive one, which is like interesting, sort of seems to fit with his character. He's not particularly easygoing, but he doesn't sound like he's a confrontational character. But what's more interesting is Zephyrus, the Greek god, role in myths. His biggest myth is this one where he's this rival of Apollo with this love interest, and he gets angry at Apollo flirting with this love interest. They're throwing a discus and he causes a gust of wind, and that discus ends up going into the neck of this love interest. And he's like, oh my god, I've killed this guy, that's my love interest, no! And then he turns them into a larkspur flower. That's interesting. I think I can replace various characters, potentially. There could be various interpretations of whether this myth is relevant. So it could be that, well, I've said that Vorthas is like his foil, so it could be that Vorthas has the role of Apollo, and we know that Zeph's like Arois, so it's probably a really close friend instead. And so who is a very close friend of Zeph, or at least used to be, is Tristan. So could that be that? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think this is the interpretation. I've got a better one. I'm aware I'm suggesting that I think Zeph's gonna kill Tristan here. I don't think that. And the interpretation I think is more likely is that Entropy is the role of Apollo, being them born, well, not born at the same time, but like a big event happening to them at the same time, and that makes them opposites and rivals of each other. And then Vorthas could be the friend, because obviously we know, Entropy is having these conversations with Vorthas, and we also know that Zeph and Vaughn used to be good friends. They were once better friends, and now they've grown apart. The connection saying once friends rather than, but Zeph saying friends implies that he's more wanting to be friends with Vaughn, and so would care more if he, accidentally killed him. Yeah, so that would link to the myth. Yeah, because it's interesting, because Dr. Sunshine is Dead is on both Vorthas's and Zeph's playlists, and that whole song is about, you know, leaving behind an old alias for a new one, you know, from Dr. Sunshine to Wood. Like, there's multiple interpretations that it could be on it being on both playlists. Like, is it because obviously it being on Vorthas's playlist, it implies the transition from either the transition from Vaughn to Vorthas or from Vorthas to, you know, void form. But it being on Zeph is more interesting because we don't know of a previous form, or will he go from Zeph to another form? Which leads me to, I really should have, I feel like I should have picked up on more about him. I've been racking my wee little brain trying to, because, you know, obviously there's this big mystery of who is Entropy to Zeph. Why is Entropy Zeph's biggest kept secret? Is that the secret that Weave and Tristan discovered, just that Entropy exists? What did they think they were defending before? What purpose would you have for defending a place for sort of no reason? Like, if you just straight up told them, oh, there's a god down there that we don't want out, I'd be like, sure, I'll beat up some void monsters, you know. So it could be that. That could be the secret, but I don't know, it feels like it should be more. I feel like the secret that they find is more, and like, if it wasn't that Entropy exists, like, why would he be so vague about it? This could be me putting my tinfoil hat on my head a little too firmly. Hey, I'm gonna go for it anyway. Could Zeph and Entropy be the same person? Like, that's what I've been thinking. That could be an interesting interpretation for why Dr. Sunshine is Dead is on the playlist, and also, like, it could be a reason for why he was born at the same time as all the Isoliths sacrificed themselves to lock away Entropy. He wasn't locked away, he was born again in Zeph, and Entropy doesn't actually have a physical form, he's just residing in Zeph's brain, and so therefore that's why he only communicates with other characters through their brain, because that's the only way he can do it. I think Zeph is the prison for Entropy, so I think that therefore, I think that Zeph could be the prison that Entropy was locked in, and so therefore by breaking they think they're breaking physical chains for a physical location Entropy to be, but they're just sort of ceremonial chains with this power imbued in them, and so that when they are broken, that would mean that Zeph would die. Breaking the chains make Zeph die, would release Entropy, and so then I can link that back to the myth, because, you know, Vorthas is trying to free Entropy, and so he's trying to break these chains, and so is therefore trying to kill Zeph, and so Zeph is like, has to take him out, has to take out this friend that he had all these memories with for the greater good, and then that would be like a big conflict for him. I think he is the greatest god this world has ever known. I think he is scared and alone, and he just needs our love. He just needs our worship. He deserves to be set free. The world deserves to fall into his beautiful chaos, into beautiful entropy. So practice what he preaches. Put your aching hands together and pray with me. Set him free. Set him free. Set him free. Cut those goddamn chains and set him free. So, thank you very much for indulging me for however long this video ends up being. I very much hope it was a satisfactory birthday present. I was going to make a joke about it being the best birthday present, but imagine if you got like a car or a computer or something, and just me here. But it was really enjoyable to make. I think I've found I really love making things for other people, since weirdly there's, less pressure. You're only making it for the opinion of one person rather than the scrutiny and judgment of the entire internet. So hell, I might even do something like this for television, or Then Came You, if I'm able to accumulate enough theories. So y'all better watch out! If it's not been made abundantly clear, I adore these characters and I'm super invested in this world. I'm ecstatic to impatiently wait to see what the future holds for them. But until then, I'll be there, supporting, contributing, and writing obnoxiously long comments, and you can't stop me. So for now, happy birthday, and goodbye. Coward. You have the yearning for knowledge, yet lack the courage to seek it. Finish the script. Dive deeper into the shadows of your mind. Pull out your twisted ideas and place them on the page. Fool! You still procrastinate? Do you even want to make this video? Good. Well then, shall we begin? Yes. Yes. Excellent. No, I don't like that. Yes. Yes. Excellent. You're coming ever closer to the truth. Exactly. And soon, we will both have everything we want. Just be careful what you wish for the truth always comes with consequences.